Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Please do subscribe both channels, guys. Each one does have unique videos up. And we were talking last night about Queen Elizabeth's death being perhaps foretold. And, one thing that somebody made a comment about, which we commented about, that we didn't get a chance to put in, because a lot of times, there's like these highlights. Actually, we need to put a smaller whiteboard in front of our faces with little highlights, because we do miss certain things. And one of the things that we missed communicating was that we got that she didn't pass on that date, and we forgot to share that part. No, that was the date they announced it. And again, look to number 46. How many versions of 46 do you see out there? It's the same thing with all of them up at that top level. There's definitely more than one available person being, there's more than one option to pull out in front of people to say, there she is. Everybody wave, 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 yay. And is it the real one or is it Memorex?
Definitely one thing they do is they control that story no matter what.
But when we look, Cindy was able to see that she is in lower 4D. So it does look like the original has left this realm, and she's with her buddies, the DRACO, in lower 4D as we speak.
She is definitely with her own. So the energy and vibration that I get is something that she's in a place where she knows she belongs. So, and that's not here in the 3D.
And that's a big statement. She's with her own. With her own. They are with their own. And it's not us. And it's not us. Yes, big statement right there. Thank you guys for your support over on Ko-Fi, where you could do one-time donation or monthly as well. And also over on Evolutionaryenergyarts, where you could join the family over there for as little as $1 a month while we're still in this money matrix. But we are looking towards a time when that will be gone. And, this is again, Yuval Harari. And, what he says here is, if bad comes to worse, and when the flood comes, when, not if, scientists will build a Noah's Ark for the elite, leaving the rest of us to drown. And, listen to his own words.
You have a small elite that pushes things in its own interests, even if it doesn't benefit the vast majority of the population. This has happened so many times previously in history, and it's probably going to happen again.
This has happened so many times, and this is what we have seen, and this is what we've gotten from the guides. This is what has been told to us, is that this has happened so many times, not once, not twice, not 3 times. We're talking many, many times, many, many cycles. And again, it's not about benefiting the masses. It's about saving their own butts and saving their own places in the system when it comes back around. Comes back around again. That reminds me of a Tool lyric. And it's talking about Saturn. Saturn, comes back around. And Saturn can bring anything to its knees, basically, if you look at it astrologically.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Saturn. I like to stay on the positive side of things and say it brings us blessings of understanding. But yeah, Saturn will strip you down and show you what you're made of in a very good sense.
And that's exactly what Tool says. It'll strip you down. It'll get to your core. Now, Saturn, as Cindy was saying, can be a blessing. Again, it's all about what we are doing when we are living in a state of constantly, really, truly trying to better the situation for all involved. It'll naturally pull us up. It's just a natural consequence of things. And it might look like, well, why did I do that good thing? Because then, something bad happened. But you have to wait for things to manifest. And that does take time. And sometimes it might not manifest until another life. But again, if you will spend the time to do the work, then we will see the results. And here you see 3 days ago, this car washed away in Wellington when a man walking his dog saw it suddenly swept up in a flash flood with no water near his car when he parked it. Just turned up. Look at that. Talk about floods coming around, and talk about, again, we're going to be doing a series. We've done a couple talking about Tartaria. And again, just like with Atlantis, I think we get a misperception with Tartaria, and it's probably too early to speak to this, but I think there is, again, like we get this thought of Atlantis being an island somewhere, right? Or even a continent, maybe, take like in Australia, put it right in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But Atlantis was a global society. And Tartaria as well, and there's lots of good stuff coming with that stuff. I mean, lots. We're just skimming the surface of this and getting a lot of interesting information. But just like this car, I mean, can you imagine? We have 8 million people in NYC, and these events can sweep away traces of our society in a heartbeat. Mom, Mother Earth, to quote another Tool lyric, is going to fix it, and Mom could sweep it all away, but she hasn't really even gotten started yet. She's waiting. She's waiting for us. She's waiting for us because she wants us to be in harmony with her when the time comes for the natural order of things. So, wait a minute. So if this is not natural, what is it? Well, what's the alternative, guys?
Definitely. I mean, she is waiting for all of the technologies to do their thing, and she has a time when she's going to do what she needs to do, and it's going to be very natural. It's going to be very harmonious, but that's why we always talk about healing ourselves, because once we are healed, then we can really, really mesh with the planet, and then we can go up together.
And this is from the UN Refugee Agency. And they're talking about floods in Pakistan, South Sudan, drought and looming famine, the Horn of Africa, climate crisis is driving displacement. Oh, if humanity really, truly could see and understand exactly what's driving displacement, what's driving these tragedies, what's driving the chaotic weather, if we could see clearly how everything was so manipulated, you would have an uprising and an awakening. Actually, we should say awakening and then the uprising. That would be pretty unimaginable for most people that are still sleepwalking in this matrix. So now we're going to shift to snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Ah, the fun. How many kids get thrilled when they see that snow? I mean, it quickens me every year when we see snowflakes. Now, we might only see snowflakes once, maybe, or maybe twice, here. And again, we're more in the proximity of Dallas than any other major cities, so to speak. So, it's not too cold here, but we do get ice. We do get snow occasionally.
I know, and we can use this as a matter of how perspective can shape our lives, because if you're a small child and you see that and you see the garage door go up and you just have this huge wall of snow to play with, you're going to be just jumping with glee. But if you're an adult, guess what? You're in charge of moving that snow.
Oh, my aching back. Yes. Never once had a snowblower in my entire life, but, I did leave the snow area in 2007, briefly lived in another snowy area for a few years. And, we spent a winter in New Mexico in a place where all we used was a tiny little space heater that we still have to this day. And that tiny little space heater actually is enough to heat this place, too. We don't need anything more. Here we're looking at snow coming down, and in fact, the highest 24-hour snow total ever recorded in New York State. Yeah, so much for global warming. What we have is wild extremes, and the wild extremes will continue. There are so many satellites in the sky, we don't know exactly what each one of those satellites is doing, do we? No, we're not on a need-to-know basis. Of course, we have things like CERN, and we have multiple HARP installations situated around the globe. Technology can do amazing things. There are declassified documents, with showing technological patents for controlling the weather back to the 1890s. We've shown that many times. All you got to do is a Google search and you can see it's there. And then again, there's also the technology that's well beyond anything that we see. And this is pretty cool. As you see this lake effect snow coming in. You know, the lake effect snow, again, up here in New York State, 5 feet in some areas. I mean, just blowing away records. This is, November 18th. You're looking at this particular footage right here. November 18th. There's a long way to go. I remember as a little kid growing up in Connecticut, so hoping there was some flurries for the Macy's parade. Remember the Macy's parade, Yeah, please let there be snow. Let there be flurries. It'll be so magical. Just a little kid praying for snow.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yes. I just so remember those beautiful snowy mornings when I was little and going out. When I was little, it was okay that my toes and fingers were frozen. I just had a blast the entire time, but I'm a little more sensitive these days.
Okay, so I misspoke. They've done an update. It's nearly 6 feet of snow.
Wow.
That's a lot. Western New York slammed with nearly 6 feet of snow, triggering road closures, flight cancellations the weekend before Thanksgiving. This is ahead of schedule, but remember, wasn't there somebody in an important pulpit that was preaching about a long, dark, cold winter? Yep. This might be that long, dark, cold winter, guys. This might be, 70.9 inches of snow Saturday morning in the town of Natural Bridge, which is east of Watertown, just shy of 6 feet. 57.4 inches over the last 2 days over in Watertown. This is really, unusually intense for your mid-November. It's going to be a long season. You could feel that, but just think about the timing. What's happening? Well, all of our heating expenses have doubled, tripled, or more. They're through the roof in many cases. So you add on an extraordinarily cold, snowy winter, maybe a long one. What's that going to do? It's going to put many people to the point of no return. How are they going to pay for keeping themselves warm? How about the food? I mean, I marvel all the time. And Cindy and I don't eat a lot compared to most, but we do buy only organic, and we understand it's not even going to be organic in this system, even when it says organic. But still, I can't imagine trying to feed a family of 4 with, say you have two teenagers and maybe 2 teenage boys, 3 teenage boys you're trying to feed. Holy cow. I mean, Rama eats like a machine. I can't imagine, what the food bill would look like. Maybe some of you guys know firsthand what that looks like. State of Victoria suffers the coldest ever November temperature as polar outbreak sweeps Australia. Cold records begin tumbling across the U.S. Below average October for the Caribbean islands. Even still, nothing to complain about. About 83 degrees is your average temp. I would take that all day long.
Indeed, yes.
Indeed. And I mean, if you look at that, the purple is the coldest of that, just brutally cold, settling in across almost the entirety of the U.S. And these are all places where monthly records are falling. And again, in the land down under, New Zealand and Australia and in the rest of, the southern hemisphere has been experiencing a lot of record cold. Now, we had that Tonga eruption, which was, I think from what they originally reported, it might be actually 4 times higher than the original reporting. I mean, that's not even close, guys. That's not even close. And, you might point to that and say, look what Mother Nature could do. But what we got was that was not Mother Nature doing that. That was absolutely technology.
There's so much technology, and when it comes to us and where we are at, when we are not interrupted by the technology, we're very, very harmonious with the earth. She does not want to harm any of her children. She can feel us on her body. Of course she could. She's our mother. So all of these things that we see happening are, technology to an extent that we can't even perceive, but it's there.
As we see, all these little blue and greenish dots are record lows that are either tied or broken, and we could see, Alabama's breaking a ton. Even in Mississippi, Louisiana, there's one over there in the Panhandle going by the wayside. Carolinas, a lot of them up through Montana and Wyoming, and I was looking at Omaha. We were talking yesterday toward your sister Alicia. Hi, Alicia. And she's in that area, and it feels like was around 0. Oh man, it's going to be a long winter. Snow dumping on Jackson Hole ski resorts, 3 feet in some locations. Well, hey, if you're a skier, it's going to be fabulous, and if you want that holiday vibe, you got it already. And we even have the first snow of the year in Portugal. And you don't think of Portugal as being a winter paradise. No. Actually, Portugal is one of the destinations a lot of expats are going to for affordability and, that beautiful beach life on the Atlantic. And here you go. First snow of the season over there as well. Search for a woman swept into a river, stood down. Heavy rain batters Scotland. Flooding shuts schools, disrupts travel. Severe weather warnings in place. Scotland got nailed big time with floods and power cuts. And over here in Georgia, where you can see a truck just all of a sudden, it just kind of half disappeared into a sinkhole. And this particular sinkhole in South Fulton, Georgia, just opened up. No apparent reason. So interesting. But then again, wait till we get going with the real earth changes. And earthquakes swarm under Takawanga volcano. Aviation color code raised to yellow in Alaska. This one last erupted back in 1550 CE. We do not know how strong that eruption was as far as the VEI scale. And gosh, what was I was thinking about something else, and I kind of lost track of it in my mind. There was something I was going to ask my lovely associate over here to my left. Human-induced 5.3 earthquakes, series of aftershocks hit western Texas. Yeah, I saw another like 4.5 today. This is just massive fracking going on, as we could see this area over here. Cindy and I have been through here together multiple times. I mean, it's just, when you're driving through there, it's just fracking well after fracking well after fracking well after fracking well. When you look to so much, oh gosh, man, Texas is flooded with fracking wells. Fracking wells, and they got them in areas that you would maybe not expect. And when you look to New Mexico, it's loaded. Colorado is loaded. Again, when the big earth changes come in, I do think that the Four Corners area is one of the best places to be still when the big earth changes come in. But again, we feel that that's still like 10 years away, before you get to those type. Now, I guess, at the same time, I should preface that by saying I kind of fully expect that we're going to have major quake in Cascadia and the San Andreas within the next, 3 years or so. I do feel that. Perhaps even the New Madrid will go thereafter. But we're talking even bigger than that, is what I'm kind of referring to when we're talking about the major earth changes.
Mm-hmm. Right. You know, we have a lot of stuff coming up, but again, most important thing is not to worry so much about where you are. You do want to follow that magnetic feeling inside of your body, but continue to heal yourself and continue to cleanse your body, and that way you know exactly what to do, where to go, where the best place for you is, because you're in contact with higher self.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's these remnants of things that don't make sense, like this, and this always comes to mind. Look at these straight lines. What are these straight lines? To me, this reminds me of an airport runway. Doesn't it kind of? You ever see airport runways, where they could taxi and then go take off, that type of thing? This is off the coast of Costa Rica. Now, this is on a rise. Look at how that sticks out. Look at how is it just splicing? Is this just, the guys at Google were having some fun? Hey, let's get something to talk about. We'll splice it this way. It's going to look like it's maybe a runway, or maybe it's going to look like it's some sort of dark symbol. Aha. But, look where it is. Now, this, when we are in a full-blown ice age, this is above water. This is above water, but this isn't even what I wanted to really show you guys. When we look in at these areas, and you could start to zoom in, you start noticing these little patterns. Look at those. Every freaking one of those little circular dots is a fracking well. This is setting us up, again, for massive disaster when the bigger ones come, and the safe zones won't be safe. Again, we're going to have to trust in that higher intuition, the higher self, the guides. Listen to the guides. Every single one of these, you can't count them all. This is just a little patch. This is the New Mexico-Texas border here. This is that area. This is all being sucked dry, causing all sorts of gaps, spaces, that when the big quakes start to come again, it's just going to be a nightmare. And again, so much of this area up along the border between Colorado and New Mexico, again, we can look when we start to really zero in. Oh, there are those stupid little circles again. And somebody might say, stupid little circles, those things are keeping your gas prices down. Well, yeah, what costs later? At what cost now? Again, you could see, they're all over. They're all through the mountains here. They're everywhere you look. Look at, those are all fracking wells. And this is New Mexico, Colorado. For the big, earth changes, this is one of the places that I would feel pretty secure, per se. But not with all that going on. And then also when you look over to this area and you look at the Indian reservations, look at the cancer rates. Look at the cancer rates. They're huge. The life expectancy is like in the 60s, mid 60s. It's sad, but again, there's chemicals that are pushed in the fracking process deep down into the crust that are not beneficial, certainly not beneficial to the water supply. And we were in this area. We know this area. So, again, not a good situation. But these little fracking wells are all over. I mean, they are all over. They have so booby-mined so much of our country. And again, when we look at the bigger picture, what are we really getting? Well, free energy is a real thing. It's just been washed over. It's been swept under. They don't want you understanding it. They don't want you understanding it at all. But again, it is tied into Tataria as well.
There's so many things. We look at the earth and have to understand that she too is a body. She too is a being. And with all beings, we have layers of information on us, very dense layers. And when you go inside of these layers and you change the chemical makeup, you're going to have a reaction. There's going to be reactions. That's only natural. Right now, it's just about how much can she tolerate.
So these sheep on a farm in China for 12 days walk nonstop in this circle. And, why are they walking in a circle? Are they, they say, well, it was just because when the person came and went and fed them, they fed them in a pattern of a circle. And they were just walking in that circle pattern, looking for a little more golden nuggets on the ground. But they've seen this before. Scientists have long studied why some other animals, like sharks and turtles, move in circular patterns as well. And they don't really know. But again, this is all about that natural thing, that natural, what would you say, it not like sonar, but, our natural homing devices. And also, in many cases, again, the unnatural. I mean, we've seen so many strandings of whales and dolphins in areas where, military craft have gone by. And, again, we know technology and signals can really affect us in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even birds have a little bit of iron in their nose. So they are pulled magnetically, but it's so subtle. You and I most likely wouldn't feel it only because of our energy and what we've put into our bodies. We've kind of been mucked up. Even if you detox every day, it's very, very difficult. You have to be so deliberate with your detoxing. But these creatures, they're following something in nature. Something is telling them, here, go in this direction. This is an etheric type of reaction, and to them, it's perfectly natural.
Now, the other side of this coin that this hits me is it reminds me of a video I watched the other day where it was showing a whole bunch of soldiers going into the military, and they're holding their clothes. They're there in their underwear and T-shirts, and they're holding their clothes, and they're in a line being processed, and they're getting a ouch. And to me, they're so much like these sheep. They're just blindly going along. They don't even know if they're going anywhere. They don't understand the greater picture here. They're following the herd blindly. Following the herd blindly without questioning. Just following the herd blindly without questioning. It's time for us to stop following the herd blindly. Again, we got to cultivate the inner child as you look at, this little one with their pup. And this is the best thing in the world. They're not thinking, oh man, this sucks. No, they're thinking, this is great. Look at this. This is so much fun. And the dog just wants to have fun, and the dog just wants to play with his buddy. Again, we need to recognize that, the system of this world is not the natural order of things. This is not the natural order. They have us going in circles. They have us stuck in a box. It's time for us to get out of the box. And here again, so many people don't understand that they're still in a box. Well, it doesn't really matter what I do because, God has said that it's all going to end this way anyway. No, it's not. And yes, it does matter what you do. You could get out of that box if you want to. Do you want to get out of that box, or do you want to just, be driven off a cliff?
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at this kitty. Well, he simply made his box comfortable. I don't want to be comfortable in a box, and I always look for opportunities to make sure that I'm not putting myself in a box. I'm not putting myself inside of a situation that's, supposedly this is just the way things are. No, I always keep my eyes open, always looking for opportunities to expand belief systems, expand understanding, because all too often we stay in a place because we think it's natural, or we've been told that this is just the way things are. And we just, we don't even question it. Just like the sheep, they're not even questioning it. They're just doing this. And this kitty's not questioning it, but we know better than that. We are human, so we have that extra knowledge and understanding to look around and see where we're at in this world.
And just because, we might be in a box and we can't perceive everything that's around us doesn't mean that they can't perceive us.
Exactly.
As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.